You're listening to the Club Scene Podcast, powered by Energia, with Ger Burke, Darragh Frawley and Maurice Hartery.
Tough day on Saturday.
It is so relentless.
We've been involved in rugby over the years.
Will it get a suit?
Nah, I think it's bad form.
They'll be fine.
Clueless.
Oh God, this is going to be the day when it's all over. Second.
That will be the lion's share.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to the Club Scene Podcast, focusing on all things Energia AIL and Club Rugby in general. In this week's pod, we'll be reviewing the round 17 games from last weekend, as well as looking ahead to the round 18 games, which will see the end of the regular season. We'll be speaking to Old Belvedere trio Quenton O'Neale, Callum Dowling and Jayden Beckett about all things Ollie Campbell Park. We'll have our Ace of Clubs update in association with Carl Apparel after a bumper weekend of games, which is sure to provide drama and controversy as Maurice Hartery is called out by Chuck. And as always, we'll have the usual hot takes, poor predictions and slightly above average humour. But before we get to that, I would like to introduce my co-hosts. This man has wasted no time getting stuck into his Easter holidays with a pretty exciting Saturday, seeing trips to Home Store and more Kidstown and Bed Bath and Beyond. I'm not sure if we'll have enough time. It's only a matter of time though until he runs into some of his students at a house party and ends up streaking through Partine after downing a flag in Linden Village. Thomond Under 20's most improved player 2007 and our favourite thing in the wing, Mr. Maurice Hartery. Frank the Tank, how are you?
Good, how are you? Actually, had a very eventful weekend down in Thomond.
Oh, excellent. We'll get to that. All is quiet on the Western Front for the big man as he too is on his Easter holidays. The quiet will, of course, turn to Freed from Desire, belting out with sunglasses, shorts and 6-pint bottles on the menu as soon as there's a drop of sunshine and he gets a WhatsApp saying, sure, we'll go for one. The self-proclaimed show favourite, Mr. Ger Burke. Berkey, good evening.
Evening.
Evening. Easter holidays.
Yeah,
Brighter evenings, you know, are we kind of in the red chino shorts and sunglasses mood yet? As weather doesn't really allow for it, but at least the clocks have gone forward.
Yeah, I am gasping to get the shorts on.
Yeah, so am I, but it's fucking freezing out.
It is.
What's going on,
I made the mistake of trusting the fucking weather app on Saturday. Excuse my language. And
what weather app?
I got a couple of different, but YR.no is the one I use regularly.
Yeah.
I went to Terranure with nothing but hoodie and shorts, and in the warm up it turned absolutely bananas, like winds like you wouldn't believe, fucking hailstones, the whole shebang. Like
there's a couple of people from Terranure that are regular listeners now that will say that you were handed a pair of red chinos in there not so long ago, and I don't know where they are now, but you should have went into the clubhouse to throw them on over the shorts you had.
We were 6 girls get that pair of shorts on that night. Remember, maybe down a pint of Heineken, then fucking drink, then try and put on a pair of shorts.
Yeah, recipe for disaster. So we will move to the rugby, where you'll find us on email, theclubscenepod@gmail.com, on X, Instagram, TikTok, the Club Scene Podcast. We're on all good podcast apps and we're on iTunes, so be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to us. As always, we are once again delighted to say that this season's podcast is powered by Energia. Make sure to follow at Energia Ireland on Instagram and TikTok for more details. Plenty of offers available on their website. Energia.ie/rugby smart offer. Offers available for limited time. T's and C's apply. That's Energia.ie rugby smart offer. Gents, it is remarkable in season 8 that we are heading towards round 18 in the Energia All Ireland League. Round 17, moving weekend in golf parlance. I was having a conversation with someone the other day who mentioned that very well. And round 17 did not disappoint right across.
It's been an insanely quick year, hasn't it?
Yeah,
very quick.
It has.
Like it feels like, honestly, I can't believe that the regular season is over this week. Like it's after flying by.
Yeah, it has.
If you enjoyed doing the podcast this year, maybe that's it, Berkey.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Maurice is
for the fact I get 40 grand, I wouldn't do.
I hope there's no one in revenue listening to this. Maurice's pessimism has rolled off on Ger Burke, but let's move it to optimism. Division 1A in the Energia All Ireland League round 17 saw Ballinhinch pick up a bonus point win, 38 points to 12 against Old Belvedere in Ballymacarron Park. That means that both Ballinhinch and Old Belvedere are safe in Division 1A next season. Lansdowne were 31 points to 19 winners over defending champions Clontarf in the Aviva Stadium back pitch. That has huge ramifications, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. But what a win for Declan Fassbender's men. Nino Nina Ormond were beaten in a thriller 57 points to 49 by UCD in New Ormond Park. Nina Ormond confirmed to play their rugby in Division 1B of the Energia All-Ireland League next season. UCD will be in the playoff ahead of this weekend's game. St Mary's College were beaten by Gallant Young Munster side 22 points to 20 in Templeville Road. Young Munster's not doing enough to still be in a shout of the playoffs, this coming weekend, but a huge win for them nonetheless. And St Mary's College sitting in second, all but having a home semi-final most likely secure. Terranure College had a brilliant win after their disappointing weekend against Lansdowne in Lakelands in round 16, 21 points to 5 against Cork Constitution in Lakelands Park, meaning that they are sitting in pole position in fourth ahead of this weekend's round 18 games. Berkey, we will start in Lakelands. Griffin Culver, Luke Lawson, Will Hickey, the try scorers, Chris Gosgrove with 2 conversions, and Casper Gabriel, tacking on 1. Rob Hederman, the try scorer for Cork Constitution. Difficult afternoon for Cork in the sense
How would you
that
know?
it is. I watched it on the stream.
Yeah, but you know what you're talking about.
I watched it on the stream. What it means is that Cork Constitution will be relying on UCD to get a result against Terranure College. But in the scheme of things, a tight, tense game, Berkey, what was it like?
So there we go. Hand over to the person who was actually there, right? It was a very good game. A very, very good game. In fairness, 2 well-matched sides, very physical. I don't think they came across in the stream. Speaking to 1 or 2 people who were saying they didn't think it was a great game. It was like, if you were at it, it was very much enthralling. And speaking to a couple of Terranure people up there, they agreed it was a really, really enthralling game. Nil all for ages, but both teams leaving nothing to the imagination, absolutely full-blooded defence. A big early stop from Khan kept Terranure out when they had possession in the 22, and then Terranure vice versa up there. Terranure opened us up a couple times with some massive scramble D from Khan. And at 7-0, it was all in the balance. Khan turned down 3 points, went to the corner, missed the line out. And that was the turning point of the game. Terranure came down, softish penalty from our point of view, and then they ended up scoring for 14-0 at half time. And that really was the game. To be honest, we just never got close enough. Second half, it was 14-5 for the majority. But no denying that they were the better side. They executed better under pressure. They had more line breaks. But a gallant effort from Con, in fairness, and physically and emotionally, we very much stood up and were in the game. But it was a good game of rugby. It was a good fucking top Division 1A game. Where full-blooded physicality wasn't enough. You needed to be executing. Your skill level needs to be better. And that was the difference, really.
Indeed, what it means for the table, the Terranure College sit in 4th position on 52 points ahead of their meeting with UCD at Lakelands this weekend. Cork Constitution on 48 points, still mathematically possible, but they would need a win against Lansdowne, coupled with UCD, to beat Terranure College at the weekend. So, interesting round 18. Ballinhinch were 38 points to 12 winners. Overall, Belvedere and Ballymacarn Park will be hearing from Quenton O'Neale and co in just a few moments' time. Aaron Sexton and Josh Hanlon both with a brace. Matthew Booth with the 5th try for Adam Craig's men. Paul Kerr kicking 4 conversions. Josh Erickson, David Wilkinson, the try scores for Old Belvedere. Berkey, just on Ballinhinch and Old Belvedere, obviously 2 very differing seasons. Old Belvedere promoted from Division 1B last season. We spoke about them being probably, and we will hear from the lads in a few moments' time, the fact that they have come up, they've more than held their own. They've only been beaten twice since the turn of the year. That's on Old Belvedere side. And then with Ballinhinch, 2 5th place finishes in the last 2 years, dropping down to 7th. Could finish a little bit higher, but where it is. But just your take on those 2 team season, having played them twice.
Funnily enough, we lost Ballinhinch twice. We'll definitely feel that one of them, the second game in particular, was a game that we probably could have won. Wouldn't say we should have won, but could have won. Hinch full value for the victory when they came to Cork, but just nowhere near consistent enough. And outside of Con, I don't think they took many scalps off teams that are in that top 4, top 5. And that's going to be their Achilles heel. They have to become more comfortable beating teams in that bracket, the Lansdownes, the Tarfs. And that's easily said. But if you want to become a challenger for this title, then you have to. And I think Maris pointed out last week that they just didn't beat enough teams above them, and hence you finish where you finish. Yeah, like they're a comfortable 1A side. You know, they weren't in danger of going down, and we thought this should be the year they kick in the top four. They're kind of in a bit of no man's land. They're not in top four and don't deserve to be, but they're also not a side that deserve to go anywhere near 1B. But it's an interesting one, like, to see where they go. Like, as in, you can't float around 1A for long. You know what I mean? Because when one bad season, all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of relegation again. Well, Belvedere on the flip side of that, I think, start of the year, Nina was kind of hard to judge because it was the first game, because it was obviously, you know, like, they were playing the opposition they knew from last year. Took them probably a while to adapt fully, but this side of Christmas, I think, coming up to the Christmas break and this side of Christmas, you saw that they're absolutely at home in this division. And I think when all of those settles, as I said a few weeks ago, they'll be very happy with their first season in Division 1A. And I think they will have ambitions to say, why not? Why not us? You know, like Mary's, they are up there already. Why can't we be challenging? It's looking like an all Dublin top four, and I think Belvo will add pressure to that next year, which is worrying for teams outside of the capital, really, to be honest with you. But from Belvo point of view, I think they can't but be anything but be happy. Well, you'll be talking to lads soon enough. We'll find out. But from my point of view, if I was in Belver, I'd be very, very happy with a first season in the top flight again, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fair summation on that. Old Belvedere in eighth, Ballyninch in seventh, both with games joué this weekend in round 18. They can't finish any lower, so it's certainly looking up for both of them. Lansdowne were 31 points to 19 winners over Clontarf in the Aviva Stadium back pitch. George Morris, Matt Eady, Greg McGrath, Paul Wilson, and James Kenny with the fifth try. Stephen Madigan with 3 conversions. Dylan Donlan, Jordan Coughlin with an absolute screamer of a try, and Paul Deeney, the try scores for Andy Wood's men. What it means, Berkey, for the table is Lansdowne pick up 5 points. They're on 56. Clontarf's lead cut to 2 points. St Mary's will get to that in a second. But Lansdowne this weekend play against yours truly, Cork Constitution. But a statement win, and you wouldn't rule out seeing this game again in a knockout phase in Division 1A this season.
As somebody who's involved in Con, and obviously, look, we're not out yet, but it's going to take something special this weekend, or a set of circumstances for us to break a top four. If the top four is to remain as it is, I would say, first of all, probably fitting and deserving of those 4 clubs, but also I can't fucking wait to see the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Lansdowne are flying. They're in hell of a form. Like, step piece wise, I mean, they're quality outfit. Terranure are capable on any given day of matching any of them. I thought they were excellent at the weekend, much improved from the week before. Tarf are fucking Tarf, and Mary's have been rocking it all season. Honestly, I don't care who comes where the games are played. They're going to be so close, intense, tight. They're going to be just. I hope they're streamed at different times. We get to see both of them.
We're close to confirming that, but I'm pretty sure they will be. Yeah.
But tell me God, yeah, because they're just, yeah. But anyway, to Lansdowne, they're a savage outfit, savage team, and like we've said for years, not running away with leagues like they were once upon a time, but by God, they're up there playing as good a rugby as they ever had, and they're honestly, I was there on Saturday going after they beat Terranure and the result, because they're surely favourites for the AIL. They're going, how can you say that when Mary's have been doing what they're doing? And how can you honestly rule Tarf out when they're sitting top of the table and they're Tarf?
Yeah.
And then you're going, well, actually, Terranure were excellent. And I'm kind of going, if they can add a small, like if they execute a little bit better with that final pass, like they were a couple of passes away from racking up a score the weekend as well. Like, there's just, I don't know who you'd pull there. Like, they're 4 savage outfits, like.
Yeah, indeed they are. Most notably as well, you mentioned Lansdowne winning 31-19, not allowing Tarf pick up a point, and winning 22 points to 3 against Terranure and Lakelands in round 16.
They've got back that edge, Frolly.
Yeah.
They were never denying how good they were, or that talent-wise, or racking up scores, or whatever it was. But years ago, there was a fear factor playing them. I'm not saying anyone was afraid to play them, but they seemed to got a bit of a fucking edge back, a bit of grit about them, you know what I mean? And yeah, they're just they're ridiculously impressed. Like that's you're talking about taking your fate in our own hands. Coming into the last couple of the home stretch of the league, you beat Terranor, give them nothing. You pick up a bonus point win against Tarf and give them nothing. That's one way to finish the league off. Like,
Yeah, it is remarkable, and it is going to be sensational. Keep an eye out on Irish Rugby Grassroots page. Post round 18, the semi-final kickoff times and streams will be confirmed. And what a weekend that is going to be in a couple of weeks' time. UCD were 57 points to 49 winners against Nino Ormond in New Ormond Park. Everyone scored a try in this match. No, Conor O'Shaughnessy, Patrick Scully with a brace, Derek Corcoran, Matteo Santos, Luke Kerr, Brian O'Rourke for Nina, Thomas Quinn, Daniel Hurley hat-trick, Maxim Ashenbrenner with a brace, Oren Handley, Ruben Maloney and Derek Gilburn, the try scorers for UCD.
bad form.
Very, very difficult season, Berkey, for Nina. They've showed up.
Out of UCD. They're already guaranteed to be in the playoff. Nina scored 49 fucking points. Will you give them a fucking break? Like?
Yeah. Very moving swiftly. I know, but in all seriousness, Nina Ormond, an incredibly difficult season. They've shown up each week in patches. They've been there. You've said it. If you're not on it each week, you're not going to get it in 1A. They will need to regroup.
There's a cruel reality for us that they've rolled over. They haven't rolled over at all. Maybe you could argue 20 minutes later throughout the season. But for the vast majority of the 17 out of 18 games they've played, they've given it absolutely fucking everything, full throttle, and they've just come up short. Be it execution, be it depth of squad, be it whatever you want. That's just the reality of Division 1A. For a team sitting 40 minutes outside Limerick City, which Limerick City has already deprived their players in Tipperary, it was going to take something special for them to stay up and for them to find wins. And unfortunately, it just didn't get the bounce of the ball this year. You know what I mean? Did a couple of injuries and things like that as well with squads. But I don't think they'll look back and say, that we didn't try. It's just a reality of what the standard is in 1A, unfortunately, for them. Like,
absolutely, 100%. Nina Ormond will play their rugby. Just a word on UCD. Berkey, I know we'll be doing the review next week, but the fact, if we cast our minds back to this time last year, if memory serves me correctly, is, City of Armagh got caught on the final day and ended up in the playoff. UCD managed to get out of it. That win will give them big confidence, but Morris alluded to it, and feel free to jump in at Moss as well. The likes of Gary Owen or whoever does finish up in that fourth position won't really mind. It's a shot to nothing in the sense. UCD would be favourites in your opinion, but and I know. Listen, we do the podcast. We never go out, but did you expect more of a punch from UCD, particularly let's say February, March, April time, where we are now, or do you feel from having played them twice that where they are is where they are? Bearing in mind they did the double over Lansdowne, who we've just spoken about, our potential contenders.
Yeah, see, you're doing it again. We're asking questions and answering them, so it's very difficult for me to come in with an original thought now.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I didn't. From playing them, I didn't think they'd be challenging top four, but that's to say because that's the standard top four, not a reflection and a slight on them in any way, shape, or form. I thought they would put up more of a fight. I didn't think they'd be in the ninth position with a round to go. I thought they'd still have something to fight for getting to this part of the season, if I'm being honest. But some of the results were just really poor. And in particular, then when you're kind of going, well, yeah, you're capable of beating Lansdowne, you're certainly capable of a couple of better results than they've shown. And unfortunately, they didn't do that. Didn't show that form enough. No. Who might have fucking say anything about that? Like I'm sure they'll say like we had injuries, we had players missing 20s when there was valid reasons. I'm not in any way dismissed them. I think UCD like that. When you're already in the relegation playoff, but you manage to rack up 54 points on the road against a team who are fucking desperate for a win and obviously come out of motion their last home game, again that shows that UCD are capable of playing. You know what I mean? And a lot of things going their way, but I think if they're being honest, there's a couple of results over the season that are hard to stand over.
Yeah, it's a fair point and summation, but it's coming to the time of the year where UCD like to play ball. A certain Joe Burke was in the Belfield Bowl a number of years ago and still remembers it
Humiliated.
as if it was just yesterday. UCD
What did
will
your man
be.
describe it as in the email he sent? Like melting
Uh,
ice cream?
yeah, meant.
Uh,
Yeah.
Fucking
we'll, have,
prick.
we'll have to fish
forgot
that out.
about
That's
that.
defamation.
But
Defamation.
I still remember to say, like, in Johnstown, he goes, Berkey, and I was like, what am I going to do out there? Like, it was like dead rubber, 44 degrees. UCD weren't allowed to kick the ball. None of them even had boots on. They were playing barefoot. And he went to me to go on and run around, and I was already retired at this point. Like,
Go out there and fix a few fellas up.
oh yeah,
You,
I'm gonna catch something.
yeah. As we said, UCD will be in the playoff against either Garryowen or Instonians as it stands. The top four won't be already confirmed, which we'll get to in a little bit. Munsters with a stunning 22 points to 20 win on the road in St. Mary's College in Templeville Road. Ronan Waters, 100 caps for Mr. Waters and 101 for Mike McCormack. Garrett Logan, the president, really good scenes after the game. But on the pitch, beating 22 points to 20, as we said, Jake O'Riordan, Luke McCready and Fionn Gibbons, the try scores for Jar Slattery's men. St. Mary's with a little bit of a bump in the road, Berkey, in the sense that Old Belvedere beat them in Ali Campbell Park. Your Munsters win here. They still will have a home semi-final. They play Clontarf this weekend, but
I think, yeah, that's something we need to talk about actually. Again, how the other team approach that. But for me, this is more about cookies than Mary's.
yeah, absolutely.
Mary's can't, like no matter how good you are, you can't go fucking unbeaten in this league. And this, for me, this sums up cookies season. Capable of beating anybody in the country under the home or away,
Yeah,
but just too inconsistent. And at times looked like dark horses for league, and then found themselves without a shot at top four, 2 rounds to go. But yes, they'll manage to go to Dublin and beat Mary's, who should have gone top again had they won. Which is mad to think about. But more of this again is just like fair play to cookies. That's a big. They're like they're not going to get top four, but that would have meant a lot to go up there and win. And I tip my hat to cookies really on this rather than I don't think it's any reflection on Mary's. If you're being honest, like you have a home semi-final, your mind starts to drift. Whereas cookies are playing for all out fucking pride, one on the road. You know what I mean? Mary's are caught. This weekend for them in Tarf is fascinating. How do you approach this? Does it matter who you play in the semi-final? Do you risk players? Is coming top of the table really that important? Because it doesn't make a difference who the fuck you play. Excuse my language. It lands on our turn. Both games are going to be absolutely ferocious.
yeah,
It's an interesting one, Berkey, as well, because you talk about does it really matter? I don't think it does, because more or less they're both going to be at home. I think every game in the top four, you alluded to it, is going to be 50-50 realistically. So I'm not sure it matters who you play. But if you look, you don't want to be Mary's going into the semi-final
Having
lost three in a row. I do believe that. Now, if Tarf were to lose as well, they're going into the playoffs losing 2 in a row.
Yeah, okay, I hear that.
But
and also remember as well, Mas, these teams really don't like each other.
No, they don't. And
there was
they
real
met
bad
last
blood
year.
in this fixture last year.
And they did. And I have a lot of friends in Mary's, but I think they'll admit that they were a little bit undercooked. They didn't play a full team against Clontarf in that round 18 game last year. There was bad blood. There is bad blood. And I don't think fair enough momentum. I take the points on 3 losses or 2 losses, but I think that they'll have to go full throttle against Tarf this weekend. And Berkey, just on that,
it's one of those ones as well. It's like if one team does and one team doesn't, then how does that play out? Then do you get a heroic loss from one team, or do both teams send out to the seconds? Like,
I think a 2 week.
Let's back ourselves that we're going to meet in the final, and we'll settle all disputes there. Like,
I think
When are semi-finals again for us? Not next weekend.
2
is it?
weeks.
no,
Yeah.
2 weeks time.
2 weeks after this one.
Yeah. Well, what I put it down to is you can look at it two ways. Look at Lansdowne's running where the round 16, 17 and 18 was Lansdowne Terranure in Lakelands, Lansdowne Clontarf in the Aviva, Lansdowne Con in Cork, week off, and either Lansdowne Mary's or Lansdowne Tarf in a semi-final to go again. So they're going to have to go 5 out of 6 weeks against the best 3 teams in the country. Best 4 teams in the country as well, including one that doesn't go in out of it. So you can look at it that way, whether you have squad depth. But I think in terms of where it was last year, and Berkey, you were there with Con. You were unbelievable performance in Mary's, and they. I remember
that's the thing. Like I hear what Matt is saying, right? But like the reality is for us last year, like we were severe underdogs in the semi-final. Like you've just got to get that day right. And if you're being honest, as somebody who was, and I don't have a lot of experience in it, I was there a couple times with Cookies. They're one-off games. You know, you think back years ago, Cookies took Lansdowne to extra time.
Yeah.
Cookies had a fucking prayer going into that game on paper and theory. It's a one-off game. You've got to get one game right. I really don't think the running has a bearing on it, if I'm being honest, as a coach. So I don't know, because I can't say, and nobody does until you're there, and your gut kind of guides you in those situations. If I was head coach of Lansdowne or of Tarf or Mary's, I can't say with 100% positively what I would do, but I would probably be leaning towards going, no, semi-final is where my head is at.
Yeah, fair point. Well, time will tell. Clontarf Mary's do face off this weekend. That is our review of Division 1A in round 17. As we said, 5th and 4th up for grabs. Will take something special, as Berkey said. So still all to play for. With that.
Mary's didn't play their full team last year in the last round, then I came back to bite them in the arse, is what you could say. So does that play in your mind?
Exactly.
Subplats are unbelievable.
That's the line I'd be taking.
Sports psychology unit.
Yes. Was that Royal Nugent there?
What would you do, Matt?
Jumped in there.
I'd sit out the bin juice.
The fixtures.
I would if it was next week. The fact there's a gap, I don't think I would.
The fixtures.
Yeah, that's another point. Said you don't want your players going 3 weeks without a game, Mass.
Yeah.
You go full throttle in round 18, 100%. You have to, in my opinion.
Unless someone is carrying it.
Your opinion is somebody who's been relegated more times than you've had at dinners. Like.
I know, and you sat on the bench more than an elderly fella in a park. So,
Kathy.
Anyways, the fixtures.
Yeah, but I said the bench in a Division 1A, like.
Yeah, the fixtures this weekend, Saturday, 4th of April, sees Clontarf welcome St Mary's College.
Both made a ridiculous amount of money anyway. That's the main.
Cork Constitution.
Him.
Cork Constitution Lansdowne in Temple Hill, Old Belvedere, Newman Alley, Campbell Park. Terranure College UCD in Lakelands Park, and New Munster's Ballynahinch in Tom Clifford Park. Moss, can you give us our bumper bonanza ace of clubs update and our games of the week for the final regular season weekend, please?
Yeah, there's actually not many. I'll give you the update first of all.
Please do.
Obviously, we had the bumper weekend this weekend.
I dispute his findings.
Why? Well, you said you thought you did pretty poorly, like, did you?
Even like there were too many games down Division 2. Like for fuck's sake, there was about 60 of them.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, Berkey. That's what. At least you remember to do it this week. But this week, what we had it was obviously a bumper week. So we had the top 3. I'll call out was Paul Duff from Barnhall 39, Sean Healy from St Mary's College 40. And Seamus Kerrisk from UL Bowes, 43. So well done to them. Frauds, you had 37, I had 35, and Berkey had 28.
Ooh.
So what that leaves the overall score as it is very, very tight. So I will actually give the top 10. Kevin O'Flaherty, Nina, 306. Nick Quirk, Graysons, 308. Porrick from UL Bus, 311, along with Colm O'Donnell. Matthew Henry from Etai, 312. Connor Nesbitt from Bowes, 314. Nippy Kinsella, 315. Dean Fanning 318, Rory Gleeson 319 from Cavan, Dean Fanning from Garryowen, and Ruan McDonald still ahead from Monkstown on 320. So 320, 319, 318.
Outrageous.
So unbelievably tight. We have a good chunk of games coming this week again. The hosts,
Lucky Dick.
the host frauds, you're 54th
Bingo.
282. I'm after overtaking Berkey into 78th
My
on
days.
268, and Berkey is in 80th on 266. That's after a season of getting abuse from Berkey. Is now bottom of the pile.
Yeah. I skipped a week.
500.
You're still barely ahead of me. I'll put €1,000 on you. I'll finish ahead of you.
Oh,
are we going all the way to the final?
There we go.
We are, yeah.
This man is.
I put €1,000 on it.
This man is extremely aggressive this evening.
You drive me.
Ace of Clubs in association with Kyle Apparel. May the best man win. It is extremely tight at the top, and thanks a million to everyone. It's a bit of crack at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's crack, yeah.
It is indeed. And Moss, can you put us out of our misery there, Berkey, for Division 1A for the Ace of Clubs and Game of the Week, please?
Yeah, so obviously it's all games that are meaningful, or actually could argue that one of them isn't actually meaningful, but technically, mathematically it is. So I'll go Con Lansdowne, Tarf Marys, that's the game I'm talking about, and then Terranure UCD. So they're the three games.
3 draws, Berkey?
Oh, go on, I call him for a crack for that round.
Yeah, okay.
Go on, what are they?
Tarf Marys?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, technically, if Lansdowne hammered Con and Clontarf hammered Marys, they could lose home advantage in the semi-final.
You got the job on a technicality.
But yeah, more or less, it doesn't matter.
All right, I'm going Tarf.
Yeah. Terranure UCD.
Terranure.
And
600.
Draw between yourselves and Lansdowne.
Nah, Con.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tarf, Con, and Terranure. Mas, who are you taking?
Yeah, I agree as well.
On those 3. Perfect. That is our review and preview of Division 1A. What a weekend it's going to be. We say it every weekend. There are going to be semi-finals in Dublin again, but you could do a hell of a lot worse than getting out and spending a tenner to watch any games across the Energia All-Ireland League. The majority there's 3 in Dublin, 1 in Cork and 1 in Limerick this weekend in Division 1A. So the very best of luck to all those teams. Moving to Division 1B of the Energia All-Ireland League, Dublin University were 26 points to 17 winners against City of Armagh in College Park, which means they're 1 point from the summit heading into round 18. Garryowen had a resounding 68 points to 21 win over Queen's University in Doyle to confirm their playoff place in Division 1B. Blackrock College secured their Division 1B status with a huge 53 points to 24 win against Highfield on the road in Woodley Park. Instonians left it very, very late, an enthralling game with UCC 19 points to 17, which means they will be away from home in a semi-final. What a story it's been from them with their rise from Division 2C a number of seasons ago. And Old Wesley were 35 points to 22 winners over Naas in Energia Park, meaning they sit at the summit of Division 1B. A bonus point win this weekend will confirm their place in Division 1A next season. Remarkable stuff. Moss, we will start with the top of the table here. Old Wesley winning 35 points to 22. Mahan Ronan, Jamie Clark, Carl Kelly, Stephen Smith and Jared Holman, the try scores for Morgan Lennon's men. Donald Conroy with a brace, Tyke Brophy and a Paddy Taylor try, which could be huge in the context of the season. That means that they're 2 points ahead of UCC, but Old Wesley in the driving seat. It hasn't been all plain sailing, but if you'd have offered this to them before the season started, they'd certainly have taken it.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose, look, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Like you said, they had a sticky patch there where they lost to Trinity, lost to Garryowen at home, and then got 2 points at Estonians. They lost that as well, didn't they? Yeah, picked up 2 points. So to go away, that's like, I mean, that's a block of 3. Well, it was a 1 and then a block of 2, but you're going into the last block of 3 on the back of that, and your 10-point gap that you had at Christmas is erased. And to come back, I suppose, and open this block with a 5-point win in UCC, a 5-point match points now, I mean, a win at home at Naas. And ultimately, like you said, what matters, what's happened for the rest of the 17 games is completely irrelevant now. They have a 1-point lead going into the last game of the season, away to Armagh, and they know if they pick up 5 points, they'll win the league. Any club in the country will snap your hand off for that.
Remarkable stuff. Wesley away to City of Armagh. That could be the longest detoured journey home, depending on how they go this weekend. But a massive win for them. Johnny Murphy's Naas are 2 points ahead of UCC.
Late try, that's what you were alluding to there.
This weekend they pick up a try bonus point. It just gives them that little bit of a buffer, which means a win for themselves will guarantee that they miss the playoff there. We'll actually move to the UCC game, Moss. UCC hit the upright very close, if not last play of the game. It is Monday night. Apologies for us not being up to 100% scratch.
I think it was last play, yeah.
Ollie Clark, Mark Lee, Bradley McNamara, choice scorers for Estonians. Stephen O'Shaughnessy with a brace and Cian Murphy, Charlie O'Shea with a conversion, Josh Eagleson with 2 for Estonians. Rory O'Farrell, the scrum half for Estonians, was taken off injured in this game. He has been released from hospital. He is okay. Huge thanks from Estonians to UCC Online. Great to see quick thinking of both medical professionals, physios, medically qualified people in the crowd as well. We will hopefully bring more information on that in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, our main thoughts at the moment are Rory O'Farrell, is all good, and he's recovered on that. So, master the game itself, Estonians sitting in third. I said it at the top of 1B. The fact that they've come from 2C to be within a playoff of 1B, they will either go against Trinity or Wesley. Most likely, depending on how Garryowen do in a playoff with a win this weekend. But they've been absolutely incredible. UCC have put in some incredibly gallant performances that will annoy the shit out of them, excuse the language. But a bonus point there, them seeing Naas getting a bonus point, it's out of their hands. But they are showing promising signs. And in any other weekend, in the middle of the season, a 19 points to 17 defeat against Estonians, you're reasonably happy to come away with a losing bonus point.
Yeah, and like you said, they'll be so frustrated. While you were talking there, I was having a look at their last couple of games. They lost 13-12 to Trinity, late score. Got 2 points at home to Wesley, late enough surge by Wesley, and then miss a kick last play of the game to beat Estonians. It's just so frustrating when that type of stuff happens to you. There's not much they can do, only get back on the bandwagon and go again. They play Garryowen at home this weekend. A Garryowen side that realistically have nothing to play for, so that actually could suit them, because UCC are going to be fighting for their lives. And it's not as if they haven't been playing well. They've been pushing. Yeah. Like that's the top 3 we're talking about there the last 3 weeks, and they've picked up 4 points. So they're very, very close. It'd be interesting to see what type of side Garryowen send down there this weekend. With their semi-final secure. And I suppose the opposite end, we spoke about Naas scoring that late try. They're at home to Estonians, who are pretty much in the same boat, really. So you've 2 sides fighting for their life against 2 teams that are confirmed in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what do Garryowen take the same line as Estonians and send full teams? Does one go full, one not full, or both go not full? I don't know. But it is very frustrating for UCC to find themselves where they are, because Blackrock have obviously picked up, a lot of results recently. Naas have 10 try bonus points to their name. And ultimately, they have 2 more bonus points than UCC, and that's the difference between the 2 sides.
Indeed, it is an enthralling round 18. waits us this weekend with UCC and Nace. One of those will be in the playoff to face against the fourth place team in Division 2A. Blackrock College hit over the half century mark, 53 points to 24 against Highfield and Woodley Park. Darragh Fitzgerald, James Cronin, Noah Patterson, Rob Murphy, the try scores for Highfield, meaning they picked up a try bonus point. Derry Maloney with a hat-trick, Barry Galvin with a brace, Jack Deegan, James Burke and Matthew Dwan completing the scoring for James Blaney's men. 24 points to 12 at half-time. Moss Blackrock College with that win do confirm their position in Division 1B. Bit strange to say that. Highfield with a senior cup to boot means that they will finish in the 5th, 6th or 7th position. They're safe as well. They'll be disappointed to finish their home form with a loss to Blackrock College, but Blackrock had a job to do, need and want and all that, and they will play the rugby in Division 1B next year.
Yeah, 100%. And look, Blackrock's form has been really, really good since February, really. Or look, since after Christmas, really, if we're being perfectly honest with you. I think they've lost 2 games, is it? Since January 24th, beating Estonians at home, lost to UCC away, then they've picked up try bonus point wins, Naas, Armagh, Queens, Highfield, and picked up 2 points in Garryowen. So their form has been really, really good. We talked about them pre-season, that we thought they'd have a chance of being in the top 4 mix. Ultimately, I think that's what we're seeing now. They had a very bad start to the season pre-Christmas. And I think this is the side we expected for the whole year, really, to be honest with you. I don't think I'm putting words in your mouth there, Fralls. Am I saying that?
No.
In terms of Highfield, look, I spoke to James Cronin during the week. I don't know, will he like me saying this? I'm sure he will. But I think he said they've played 11 of the last 12 weeks and they're just running on fumes. Winning the Senior Cup in the midst of it as well. And ultimately, they'll take a step back from this year, I would have thought, and they'll go, you know what, we're after winning a Munster Senior Cup. This time last year, we had to pull off a miracle to stay in this division, and they did. We're going to finish mid-table. It's something seriously that they can build on and look at pushing on next year. I think that's a successful
it's 100%. It's very difficult as well when you're like when you look at Highfield pre-COVID and they're on the march to 1A, they're going toe to toe with Con in those senior finals. There is a new batch of players with Highfield. The game against Naas last year, it will go down in Highfield folklore as the seminal moment where they could have been Division 2 team. They're now Division 1B team, and I think they're a lot better off, a year on from where they were. So with that, Highfield and Blackrock are confirmed. Blackrock, confirmed in Division 1B next season. Highfield just missing out on the playoffs this year, but as we said, a hell of a lot of improvement based on last year's finish. Garryowen, as we said, were 68 points to 21 winners over Queen's University in Dordoyle. Sean Sexton and Thomas Ironside Wickham with 2 tries each. Finn McCall, Ben Lee, Lachlan Stewart, Luke Cleary, Billy Hayes, Rory Woods and Brian Fitzgerald with a brace as well. Great to see him back after he'd been out with a pretty nasty injury. Lachlan Stewart with 4 conversions. Henry Walker, Fraser Cunningham, Johnny Scott. The try scores for Queens, 46-0 at halftime. Look, Moss, it's a very difficult place for Queens to be in. They will play their rugby in Division 2A next season. But for Garryowen, as you said, it very much looks like either themselves or Estonians will play against UCD. And it's one of those ones where you've mentioned it, and it was in the VT clip last week, that Garryowen have it's been a consistent team. It's been consistent performance. They've kind of kept their head down and they've gotten on with it. And we heard Shane O'Brien and Willie Staunton talking about it very candidly, that they were trying to build something on and off the pitch. Their 20s narrowly beaten by Clontarf at the weekend in the under-20s, Fraser McMullen. And, from where they were last year in Division 1A, Garryowen will be very, very happy where they are. And they have an opportunity again to go one step further and test themselves against UCD and could be within 160 minutes of Division 1A rugby. They will be within 160 minutes of Division rugby, but depending on how the semi-final goes, they could be within touching distance again. Yeah,
you could see Willie Staunton's hallmarks all over this, couldn't you? The out half kicking 4 out of 11 conversions. But in all seriousness, I know I was complimented. I was saying, like, you see Garryowen and whether they finish 4th or 3rd. I actually, while you were talking in 1A there, I had a quick look back to see what the scores were in UCD Garryowen last year in 1A, and UCD actually won both games with bonus points. I think it'll be, if they do meet this year, it'll be a much different, a closer affair than those two games, just because of momentum. I alluded to it there. They're absolutely flying it. The match here at the weekend looked like it was going to get out of hand. I was down to tone match followed in any score, and I was there, oh my God, this is going to get out of hand quickly. Like, it was a 46-0 or something at halftime.
At halftime, yeah.
So, there, as I said, if you took away, who did I say take away? Trinity, Garryowen are the form team in the division, and I think they're going to be very hard to beat in the playoffs, to be perfectly honest with you.
Indeed, Garryowen UCC this weekend in Cork. Huge game at both ends of the table there. It will be very interesting to see what way it pans out. Trinity were 26 points to 17 winners over City of Armagh, College Park. Jack O'Neale, Johnny O'Sullivan, Kevin Jackson and Davy Colbert with the bonus point try for Tony Smead's men, meaning that they are 1 point behind Old Wesley. Headed round 18, Josh Cunningham, Conor Neary and Rocky Olsen, the try scorers for City of Armagh's men, and Chris Parker's side have been very good this season, but they've consolidated in Division 1B after the relegation last year. Couple of injuries this side of Christmas, but they'll be reasonably happy with their lot ahead of round 18, missing the top four and being safe at the same time. The absolute insane thing, and I'm calling on your statistics here, is that Old Wesley and Dublin University this weekend, if Old Wesley manage to get 5 points, they will be promoted. But if Old Wesley get 4 points and Trinity get 5 points, it will come down to points difference. And for people that don't have the table open in front of them, as it currently stands, Old Wesley are 10 points ahead on the points differential, 140 points for and 130 points for. So there will be calculators out, and it is all set up this weekend to be an absolute humdinger. We'll get to that in a second, but in terms of Trinity, where they have been in terms of the form teams, you said, along with Garryowen, Moss, they've just been, it's the Trinity of old, even though it's the new batch. Tony Smead really enjoying himself. And again, we spoke about Highfield, where Trinity were last season. They were within a kick of being in Division 2 with Cashel. So the difference 12 months makes, and they're on the cusp of something really special in College Park.
Yeah, they are 100%. I mentioned them in 2A this year. Oh my God. It was a good win because Armagh got off to a good start. I think they were 12-0 down early, were they? I can't remember exactly. I remember looking at it on my phone and I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? We're going to see a massive, massive shock, with no disrespect to Armagh, in Trinity. But they came back, a very professional performance, shall we say. They pick up the 5 points. 26-17, keep their momentum going. Like I said, the form team in the division. They go to Blackrock this weekend. There'll be no love lost there, I would say. Blackrock would only love to upset the apple cart. But you alluded to it there, Frawley. I actually don't know. I'd have to check. It is so tight there. It's ones that you'd be kind of looking at if you're a team manager and you're, okay, I better check what the tie-break situation is in terms of points difference. Does it go points for, points against, tries scored? I don't know. But it is one that you probably just have to glance at just in case.
Yes, indeed you would. So if there are any people looking for a new team manager out there, Mars Hartree is available, just for that little plug there. So Old Wesley's win means... Trinity's win, means that they're 1 point behind Old Wesley at the summit. And this weekend's fixtures see Blackrock College welcome Dublin University to Stradbrook. As Moss said, no love lost there. The Mimosas may be out. City of Armagh and Old Wesley in the Palace Grounds, those are the two main games to watch. Naas in Stonians in Four Knots has a huge bearing at the bottom of the table. Queens and Highfield will jouer, and you would imagine there will be a hell of a bus trip home for Highfield there. And UCC Garryowen in the Mardyke. UCC will have both eyes firmly on Garryowen, but eyes will also be on Four Knots because Nace's game against Instonians, a win there for Nace will confirm UCC in the playoff. Any other result, if Instonians turn Nace over and UCC manage to get a win against Garryowen, they will escape. So Moss, our ace of clubs and game of the week, please.
Yeah, so our games of the week, well, I have to go Armagh because it's in Wesley's hands. So City of Armagh versus Wesley, Blackrock Trinity, Naas Instonians, UCC Garryowen.
Oh wow. UCC to beat Garryowen. I think Naas and Linstonians will be remarkably close, but I think Naas will just have enough there against them. I think the City of Armagh, Wesley, and Blackrock Trinity games. I think Blackrock and Trinity, because of the derby it presents, will be very, very tight. I think weather will have a big bearing on that, but I think Trinity will go out to get 5 points, and I think Wesley have shown serious resilience and resolve. Given, as I said at the top, a little bit of a bump in the road in the sense of the 8 games post Christmas, but I think Old Wesley will do the business on the road in City of Armagh. I think City of Armagh are very, very difficult to beat in the Palace grounds. I think Old Wesley will win, whether they get a try bonus point, and I think Trinity and Blackrock will be a lot lower scoring than people think. I don't know who's going to get promoted. I don't want to say it either to put the jinx on anybody, but I think we're in for two cracking games there. Moss, who are you taking between Blackrock and Trinity?
Yeah, this one is going to be very close, I think. Blackrock have nothing to play for, bar their hatred of Trinity, which is, so, with the derby, the games, you just have to fancy Trinity with everything that's on the line. I'm going to go with Naas and Stonians. I keep going with that need versus want, and I actually think UCC will beat Garryowen as well.
Yeah.
I think UCC are going to end up in a playoff after picking up 5 points, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think Naas could definitely. I think Naas are going to get 4 as well. In terms of Wesley, I think it helped Wesley that Armagh probably have nothing to play for, similar enough to Blackrock, that they're out of contention for a semi-final. I think they're going to go to Armagh. I think they're going to do the business, and we are available for the Intercontinental
There you go.
victory dinner.
Berkey is currently swamping 6-point bottles. He went into Penny's to get his chino shorts and he's drinking 6-point bottles. So he's on the phone to the Intercontinental. Oh, one what? So it'll be interesting to see. But the very best of luck to all teams. Division 1B. If you haven't downloaded any score yet, make sure to absolutely do that. We did Twitter Spaces a number of years ago on the final day from the roof of Cuna for Shannon Naas. We'll have to roll back the years for the semi-finals, but that is our review of Division 1B of the Energia AIL. The very best of luck to all teams with plenty to play for in that division. Joining us on this evening's Club Scene podcast, powered by Energia, are Old Belvedere's Quenton O'Neale, Callum Dowling Jayden Beckett. Gents, thanks for taking the time. A snapshot after 17 games. Division 1A status secured after the first season back in the top flight since 2017, sitting in 8th place. 12 points from 4th, 9 points ahead of 9th place. Quenton, if I come to you first, would the club have taken this, have offered this back in September? I know it's a difficult question to start with, but you must be reasonably happy with the lot to date.
Yeah, we would. Obviously, coming up from 1B to 1A is a big step, and no one really knows how it's going to go, or if you're going to get a little bit of luck with injuries or whatever. But from a club perspective, I suppose, we would have. I suppose, cut a long story short, we're just trying to lay some foundations to be a better side and a better club, and this is a good challenge for us this year. And I think the boys have acquitted themselves very well. We're more than happy to be in there. 1 game to go. I suppose we've shown enough within those performances to say that we can be better, and we're working towards that. But like I say, it's a very competitive division. It's a big step from 1B to 1A. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Callum, if I come to you as captain, and Jayden, feel free to jump in. You absolutely ripped up 1B. Last season, phenomenal performances. Talk to us a little bit about coming into 1A. Particularly, we spoke about it at the top of this pod that it was Dublin dominated, but you really feel like you're at home there. Was there any doubt heading into the league that you were good enough is the wrong thing to say, but you see to get to the level required?
Yeah, well, as Q said, I think it's always it's a bit unknown territory coming up from 1B to 1A, and definitely at the start, like I think we noticed a difference in the physicality and intensity, and like we were just punished for our mistakes more. But I suppose this side of Christmas we've kind of learned to grow into games, and yeah, and we've got a few results off the back of that. But it's definitely a step up, and yeah, it has been like we had a tough period there before Christmas, and it can be hard to get out of that. So I think we've done well to get out of that, and as I said, like we started to get a few performances this side of Christmas, which was good.
Great stuff. The turn of the year, lads, we'll jump straight into that. It's been remarkable when we were putting the research together on it. Just the results, an away loss on January 10, 27-19 against Terranure, home win against Con, away win against UCD, Bananas game against Lansdowne where you pick up 2 bonus points, a home win against Young Munsters, a 54-51 loss away to, I don't know who the defence coach was that day, but we won't delve into that. A 21-14 win against Mary's, and then obviously the loss against Hinch the weekend. But Ollie Campbell Park, and Jayden, I want to come to you on this. You've been prolific the last number of years. Ollie Campbell Park has been a formidable place. Is that something that you focused on pre-season, that to stay in Division 1A, our home form has to be as good as it can be?
Yeah, I think any team that's good in the division has a strong kind of fortress that they go to. So it wasn't something we necessarily focused on, but we know we have the supporters. We know we have people turning up on a Saturday to get behind us. And that's been massive for us. So kind of coming down, you're excited for the game. You know, it's going to be a big event. You know, you're going to get numbers down to the game. So you kind of want to get out your best performance. So, and look, obviously the results are kind of showing that it has become a bit of a fortress. It's obviously a strong home kind of ground for us. But yeah, as you said, there was close games outside of that with some other top contenders in the league. So you're going to have both fronts as well, home and away, to kind of fight in this league.
Absolutely. Quenton, we spoke roughly this time last year where you said you didn't have much time off, but can you kind of give us a snapshot of off the field how preparations for Division 1A might have differed from 1B in terms of getting it right, maybe S&C recruitment, etc.?
Yeah. I remember the last time we spoke just about a strategy, you know, so obviously getting into 1A would just requires us to grow our game. So, you know, the first thing we did was just retain our current group as much as we could. We lost 5 or 6 players just through natural immigration and stuff. So that was the first step. So the next sort of step was just to fill the gaps with a bit of recruitment. We run a 12-month calendar for S&C anyway, but and then it was just to work on our game model, just to grow our game. So we introduced quite a bit over the summer. We got a couple of coaches in. Hugh Hogan came in as a senior coach. He'll be taking on the head coach role shortly. James Tracy came in with the forwards and the scrum. So we just took a few steps. We probably confused the boys a little bit at the start because we had to introduce quite a lot, but we just thought we had to stretch them. It was good for the club, it's good for the players, and it's good for the coaches. So we implemented that, and so the end result of that is basically we've used 36 players so far this year, and 31 were new to 1A. So it's a big step. We've sort of had the positives, had the negatives. Everyone's had a bit of a look, had a bit of a feel. So we just did the best with what we had, and like you say, the home form was really good. You know, we seem to we gather good crowds. There's a lot of good vibe around the club. People coming down to watch. It's quite genuine. We haven't quite cracked the away form, but even in the weekend going up to Ballynahinch, I was only thinking on the way home, it really hasn't changed much up there. The people are still awesome. But, you know, you've got to play the conditions. And that was our first away trip since November. So, as in bus trip. We've been playing in Dublin since we played Cork in November. So it is, like, you can sort of see the comfort within Dublin, but you can also see the challenge in playing away. So.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, just on that, Callum and Jayden, relatively young men in Energia AIL ages. look, you mentioned the likes. Quentin has mentioned Hugh Hogan and James Tracy. Hugh Hogan, like for people that didn't know, Hugh Hogan captained St Mary's to an All Ireland League in 2012. Phenomenal guy, huge coaching CV. To have a guy like that, to have James Tracy, the buy-in from the players. You hear Quentin saying 36 and 31 guys playing new to Division 1A. It must give you huge confidence to buy into that system and to start reaping the rewards. I know the home form is something that's there, but you've picked up 2 points in Lansdowne, you've picked up 2 points in Clontarf. Based on where you were 12 months ago, you must be very, very happy with where you are lot-wise.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a massive part of that for us is our like J1s, our seconds. You know, we've got a big squad, and our seconds had a tough loss yesterday in the cup against Clontarf, but just having like a group of 45 lads makes a massive difference in training. And then, like even as Q mentioned, they were a very good crowd this year as well, and they played a massive part in that. So we're very lucky to have them, and I think everyone just drives each other on, and there's massive competition in the squad, and but it's in a good way, you know. Everyone's encouraging each other and learning off each other, and I think that's crucial in a rugby team. So yeah, our seconds have been a massive part of our form at this side of Christmas.
Yeah, if you need another player this year, Mars Hartrees will actually do
on,
maybe
Mars.
10 minutes. 10
I
minutes after
actually
break
got asked to come out and play with Thomond there, sir. Absolutely not.
with size 4 rugby balls. Jayden, the best game to watch or be a part of this season. I was at the Clontarf game. I know you lost at 54-51, but do any games come to mind? Free flowing rugby, making line breaks, whatnot?
I'd say those two recent ones. I'd say Clontarf is obviously up there. 105 points between two teams, absolute spectacle. And then obviously Mary's again the following week after that. So they pipped us in the first block of 18 games, and then so it was nice to kind of play them at home and get one back there last week.
Yeah, Callum. I was looking back the last time you were on the pod. Like you've been, I actually sat down next year. Was almost sitting on your dad's lap at the Nina pre-match lunch in Tipperary in the opening game of the season. But in terms of the best teams you've played against, you've been involved in this for a long, long time in Division 1A this season. You might want to give credit to a few of the teams, but who's the most rounded team you've seen after 17 games?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think like the semis are going to be very interesting, but obviously they all have their strengths, and I think like Tarf set piece is can be pretty unstoppable at times. The scrum and the maul when they get going, and then Mary's attacking game is one of the best I've seen as well. But also Lansdowne, when we played Lansdowne this year, they put in some very good performances. So yeah, and so I think the semi is going to be very tight, and it's hard to predict what's going to happen, which is
and a career in politics along with everyone else meets there.
You can tell us off air.
Yeah, you can. We'll put it in the VT. Quentin, I suppose it's a bit of a strange one in the sense that not that there's nothing to play for. You know, it's a huge home crowd, last home game of the season, families, kids, the whole lot will be there, big lunch, no doubt. But is there a sense that the pressure is off? You know, that the not that the lads don't enjoy them on a weekly basis, but does this game have a bit of a different feel to it, given that status has secured an opportunity to finish higher up the table? What way are you guys approaching it?
Yeah, the pressure is off. There's no doubt. You know, you can't get away from that. You can sort of see it in our performance last weekend. You know, the boys have come out of a hard game. We got a lot of injuries. We patched it up, and we got opened up pretty quickly. But yeah, you know, you've got to keep going. You've got to front up again. We look forward to seeing Nina again. You know, we've got a lot of respect for them, and you know, that won't be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. So, you know, we just got to concentrate on finishing this week, finishing as well as we can. Like you say, it's a home game. Put out our best side, put our best foot forward, and it just, I suppose, what it has done the last couple of weeks is a bit like when we won 1B. You know, you just get a little bit of a head start on the end of the year with the lads. You know, get a bit more sort of strategy organised, and look forward to a break. It's been quite an intense year, you know, with that step up. You know, we have struggled, and like Cal said, the only teams we haven't beaten are Lansdowne and Clontarf, and there's no secret there that they had the measure of us. And that's not disrespecting anyone else, but that set piece sort of strength sort of showed out. So yeah, we just got to put our best foot forward this week. That's what we've done pretty much all year. We've sort of licked our wounds or tried to keep as much positives and look to the next game and just build week to week, because it's very intense and very challenging for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. The social side of things, Callum, is Jayden a social captain? What we always say about bus trips and party pieces, I've been reliably informed by a number of people who have brought their wives, girlfriends, partners to Ollie Campbell Park that you put on quite a show, be it the lunch, be it a glass of white wine or Guinness. But it has been a feature in a conversation that Division 1A has gone very professional, more professional than recent years. Is there a lot of lads sticking around, ex-players, players after the game in Ollie Campbell Park? Can you give us any detail on that as well? And is there potentially a two-dayer lined up for Saturday and Sunday for guys to catch up over the season and maybe hand out a few fines and whatnot?
Yeah, well, I think the social side of it is massive, and we actually have Josh Eriksson running our culture this year, and like he's done a great job of that. But yeah, even just the amount of numbers I've noticed up in the bar after games this year, ex-players, ex-teams, and just people's friends and family coming up for a drink or a chat or whatever out on the balcony is has been massive. And yeah, we've got some good performers, and like we have a band that comes sometimes, and they play some great tunes, and yeah, Peter O'Byrne's pretty good on the singing himself as well. So yeah, some of the lads get up and have a sing song. But yeah, no, it's great crack after a game.
A couple of very nice plugs. Jayden, the backs normally criticise the forwards' dress sense. You're well in tune. You've been a member of the club for a long time now, but you're enjoying the social side of things as well as the rugby.
I am. It's a very Irish thing to kind of get up and do a bit of a karaoke, kind of sing along afterwards, which I've now been introduced to. Callum's very modest there, so he hasn't selected him as the one that gets behind the guitar or piano, but he may be doing that every now and then. So it's always great crack, and it's worth sticking around for.
That's great. In terms of, we always ask, and I want to go to Q first and then back to you, Callum, and Jayden, feel free to chime in it. But we always ask where the Energia All-Ireland League could go from here. Strategy is a word, Quenton, that you use, and it's case in point that you used it last year, that you needed a strategy in terms of 1A. It has worked, but it is just the start of the strategic plan. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you feel the club can go from the grassroots right up? Because the minis are thriving at the weekends, Anglesey Road and Ollie Campbell Park. It's a great place to be, even when the sun isn't shining, but there's a lot of good people around there. So being able to join all those pieces together, it all adds to the club. But in terms of a strategy, can you tell us about that? And then Callum, you've been involved with the club for the duration of your rugby playing life. Do you feel that this is the start of something big?
Yeah. No, I think club rugby's in a great place. I really do. I think the All Ireland's in a great place. And I'm surprised to hear, that there was an issue with the social side with 1A, because we all know each other. All the coaching teams know each other. The players know each other. So I've never sort of had a problem with our lads. It's more like trying to keep them in line in the breaks. Because you sort of play 3 games and have a game off. So just trying to time your runs, because it can be quite intense if you're on the piss for 3 weeks in a row, And so from an energy point of view, we sort of try and work around that. But no, the club's in a good place. We've had an increase in membership this year. We're up to about 1,400 playing members. We've still got 150 odd coaches, it's very vibrant. There's a lot going on. It's busy. We had a real tough time with the weather, obviously, over the Christmas period. Like, we couldn't really train for about 7 or 8 weeks just with ground conditions. But but we got by. But all the teams have suffered there because we don't have an Astro. But generally, and the All Ireland, I think it's perfect. It's really good. I do see the RFU doing these reviews and whatnot, and they have a little bit of collaboration with the clubs, and they're doing things for the right reasons, and they do, Kevin Beggs and the lads in the RFU, they do run, they do look after the clubs. They keep us all in line. Everything's run really well. The referee's the same, Peter Fitzgibbon in there, he's doing a really good job. I've tried to encourage referees to stay in the game, and put out a good product. But no, I think club rugby, I can only speak for ourselves, but and wherever we go, it's full clubhouses. There's real passion in it, because you can get the connection. Like Callum, for an example, as a young fella come through the minis, he's got all his brothers playing, and his brother's a doctor for us. His dad was last year's president, so that's a meaning, and the mum's a beautiful supporter of the club. But there's a meaning, there's a care about it, and what I'm finding in club rugby at the moment, it's really going from strength to strength. So I wouldn't do too much apart from just let us get on with our own stuff.
Absolutely, Callum, Ted, to that.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think the AL's in a great place, and it's like the standard of it has risen as well, which can only be good for Irish rugby. But like as Keith said, I grew up watching Belvo play in 1A, so like to be there and to stay up this year was important. And like even just in Belvo itself, like our minis are a massive part of our club, and I think every Sunday morning you see loads of them run around on the pitches. It's massive for us, and it just adds to all the atmosphere and the games and stuff. So it's great. It's great for the club.
Sensational. Jayden, just as I don't want to call you an outsider, but as a guy looking from the outside who's now fully part of the fabric in Old Belvo, what's it like for you?
Oh, like I played for two clubs before I came over from New Zealand, and in comparison, like Belvedere is such a massive part of the players' lives. Like they really support us. It's enjoyable rocking up on a Tuesday, Thursday. There's so much more than just one squad. There's obviously the women's side of. There's a lot of junior teams. There's minis. It's a massive club, and they really look after all the people involved in that. So there's complete contrast to some of the teams I played with back in New Zealand. But yeah, it's really good.
Brilliant. Nothing like New Zealand and Ireland restoking the fire again in a club podcast. But anyways, there was plenty of social questions. The one that was actually applicable to before the watershed was for you, Callum Dowling. A certain individual wants to know what's your favorite meal to cook in an air fryer. There's obviously some form of inside joke there.
Yeah, no, see, I think I got asked this on the promotions day with the AIL, and it turned out as a bit of a TikTok. So it wasn't great, but I'd like to clarify, I don't even have an air fryer. So I just did the TikTok for a bit of
If
crack.
there's anybody in Curry's or Lidl that wants to do a sponsor with Callum Dowling, he will take an air fryer. But no, you're off the hook with that one. Before we leave you go, gents, the quick fire questions. Jayden Beckett, what's on your pre-match playlist?
Typically it's Paddy Dowling that runs all that, but if it has to be anything, it's kind of classic 2000s rap, bit of Jay-Z, Kanye, all
That's
that.
good. Can't go wrong with that. Quenton O'Neale, the best post-match meal in the Energia All-Ireland League?
I'd have to go Cork Con.
Yeah. What's on the menu there most recently?
It was a roast chicken.
Oh, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Callum Dowling, the best place to play in the All-Ireland League?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, well, obviously Ollie Campbell Park, but I'm biased. But if I was to give an away ground, probably College Park is a pretty nice setting as well.
Very nice indeed. Jayden Beckett, the best player you've seen or played against on the island of Ireland or New Zealand?
There's a lot of good players, but Hughie O'Sullivan coming in for us this year at 9 has been great for us on and off the pitch. His detail from the pro game is very good. So yeah, good to be alongside him playing each week.
Excellent. He's obviously giving you a lift to training each week if you set him.
Fucking cost of petrol now. He wasn't more than a shout out.
Diesel, mate.
Diesel, sorry.
All one at a time. The best place for an after-match pint, not the clubhouse, a public house. Where near Anglesey Road or otherwise? We'll start with Quentin, on to Jayden, and then Callum.
I'll leave it to the lads. because yeah.
I think I can speak for Cal.
What's Bardo's pub, Cal?
Yeah, O'Donoghue's.
O'Donoghue's. Yeah, I'd pick O'Donoghu's. I'm sorry I couldn't remember that, but the lads would know all the spots.
Exactly. So O'Donoghue's, we were there last year after promotion, so I had a couple of days on the Sunday, and then I think we'll be back there this Sunday to have a bit of a celebration and everything else. But
Nice. Nothing like a bit of product placement to finish off this evening's chat. Lads, thanks a million for taking the time here on the Club Scene podcast powered by Energia. A terrific season for Old Belvedere, going from strength to strength. The best of luck on Saturday and the best of luck on Sunday, and make sure you've got work booked off on Monday.
Thanks for all.
perfect.
Yeah, no better. Moving to Division 2A of the Energia All-Ireland League, Galway Corinthians kept their playoff hopes alive with a 22 points to 7 win over Dungannon, who dropped to 4th. Greystones were beaten 24 points to 22 at home by a brilliant Ballymena performance in Dr. Hickey Park. Old Crescent were well beaten at home by Cashel, 47 points to 13, which means Old Crescent will be in the playoff. They will face off against the 4th place team in Division 2B, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. Cashel, with their Jekyll and Hyde season, still not mathematically possible to get 4th, but they are safe ahead of this weekend's round 18 game. Shannon in sensational form, winning 28 points to 12 against the champions Barnhall in the Thomond Park back pitch. A win this weekend will see them confirm a home semi-final in 2 weeks' time. And Wanderers in sensational form, hot on the heels of Shannon, 3 points behind after a 41 points to 19 win over Banbridge in Merrion Road. Moss, there are ramifications for the top and bottom of the table here, but with Crescent confirmed in the playoff, we will start at the top of the table. Barnhall beaten by Shannon. Shannon now 3 points ahead of Wanderers, who themselves had a brilliant win at the weekend against Banbridge. And Dungannon, a little bit of a tricky patch for Johnny Gillespie's men, beaten 22 points to 7 by a brilliant Corinthians side, meaning that they slipped down to 4th, 1 point behind. Corinthians tries through Matthew Roach, Nagel, Joe Smith and Sean Fox. Billy Cross, 2 conversions and a penalty. Adam Milligan, sole try score with Ben Mackay. Just that game as a standalone, Moss. Corinthians not allowing Dungannon pick up any point. That could be a huge result for them in the context of round 18 this weekend, with them just being 1 point behind Dungannon and 59 points off better on the points differential.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like two sides that literally have been going in the opposite direction. Like Corinthians have won 5 of their last 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of the last 6, and Dungannon have only won 2 of their last 6, 1 of their last 5. Dungannon were in pole position to host the home semi-final, and it was looking like it was going to be against Shannon for a good portion of the season. But you said it there, they're in a worrying little form. They lost away to Barnhall and then have lost 3 in a row. Shannon, Wanderers and Corinthians. Not the time of the season you want to do that. And all of a sudden, from looking at hosting a home semi-final, which they can't do now, they're looking over their shoulder. Corinthians are going, we have to win this weekend to even get into the top 4. So yeah, it's worrying, but like I said, Corinthians have been in great form. They looked a big cast drift there, in or around January, but they've put a lovely little run together. They sit in 5th, and have really good chance of slipping and sneaking into this playoff hunt.
So you're saying there's a chance, as we said, Corinthians in 5th position on 49 points.
They should get in with they're playing Banbridge away last game of the season. Banbridge are gone, and they're obviously shipping some big results recently. So you'd have to say that Corinthians are probably favourites to get in.
Morris Hartree pulling no punches on this Monday evening. Shannon were 28 points to 12 winners over Barnhall in the Thomond Park back pitch. Lee Nicholas's side tries through Cian O'Halloran, Jamie Conway, David Smith and Oisin Minogue. Adam Gray with a brace for Barnhall. Barnhall confirmed champions, Moss. So Shannon stay in 2nd. Wanderers with a 41 points to 19 winner over Banbridge, who will play their rugby in Division 2B next season. Aaron O'Callaghan, Jack Connolly, JJ McElrath, Conor McMenamin, brace and Mark O'Reilly the try scores for Wanderers. David Fitzgibbon with 4 conversions and a penalty. Banbridge try scores through Daniel Kilpatrick, Finlay King and Adam Doherty. Charlie Beattie with 2 conversions. 5 points for Wanderers, Moss. It's amazing for both Shannon and Wanderers. Shannon will have come into the the changing room after the game, seeing we're 3 points ahead. Wanderers seeing Dungannon last means that they go from 4th to 3rd. 5 points does exactly what it says in the tin. And much like Division 1B and 1A, these, when confirmed, will be cracking semi-finals in terms of promotion.
Yeah, I wonder a similar case to Corinthians. They're on a rich vein of form. They've won 5 of the last 6. As I said, it looked like Dungan and Shannon fighting it out for a home semi-final. All of a sudden, you had Corinthians now, Wanderers getting right in the mix, and they're coming right at the right time of the season. Now, I can't claim that I have seen a lot of them this season, but what we do know from the last couple of seasons is they're two sides that like to throw the ball around, like high-scoring games, and it's come to time of the season where that is very beneficial. And that probably ties in nicely with their good form. In terms of Barnhall, Shannon, Barnhall obviously won the league. They've lost their last 2 games. They were 15 out of 15 up until that. It'd be interesting to see how they go this week at home to Wanderers. I presume they're getting the trophy this weekend. They won't want to lose at home. But it was a big win for Shannon. I said to Neely Cronin, who obviously coaches the Shannon Backs, he teaches in Castletroy with me, and I was like half joking, half serious, saying, if they'd lost to Barnhall at the weekend, they would have been in a spot of bother in terms of the playoffs themselves, even though they were second at the time, just with the fact they have to go to Cashel this week as well. And I mentioned it last week on the podcast, but look, they alleviated all those fears anyway with a pretty comprehensive win against Barnhall. And like you said, they're now in pole position to pick up that home semi-final, and they're another side that is in really good form. The teams coming into the playoffs are in good form, with the exception of Dungannon at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, they are massive as well in terms of home gates, lunches, etc. So Shannon will be looking to go back to back against Cashel this weekend and confirm that home semi-final. Ballymena had a 24 points to 22 win over Greystones in Dr. Hickey Park. Jack O'Brien, Ferdy Kenny and Conor Balmain. The try scores for Danny Kenny's men: David Baker with 2 conversions and a penalty, Michael Orr, Roger McBurney, the ageless Roger McBurney, and Josh Dobbin with the tries for Ballymena. Bitterly disappointing for Greystones to lose at home. They hadn't reached the heights that they would have expected of themselves this season based on last season, but a huge amount of credit must go to Ballymena. There were some question marks pre-Christmas about results, but when it mattered most, they won. They won on the road, and ultimately both Greystones and Ballymena are safe. On the flip side of that, Cashel's demolition of Old Crescent in Takumi Park, Sean Monaghan, the sole try scorer for Michael Harding's men, Timothy Townsend and Alan Flannery hat-trick, and Rob Carney brace, and Joe Callery completing a scoring. Ben Toomey with 6 conversions, 12 points to 6 at half-time. Cashel winning in the second half and exacting revenge for the loss in Spafield back in October. But ultimately, Ballymena, Greystone safe. Crescent will be in the playoff and will need to find better form if they're going to stay in Division 2A next season.
Yeah, I suppose you talk about 2 opponents in 2 games who are the complete opposite of each other, really. Ballymena obviously really struggling pre-Christmas. Turn it around after Christmas. Looked at one point that they had an outside chance of making top 4. They obviously go to Greystones and pick up a good win. Greystones, on the other hand, were in the hunt for top 4 pre-Christmas, and their form post-Christmas is just completely collapsed, more or less. Now they're safe for another year, but like you said, they're going to be desperately disappointed. And you could make the same argument for Cashel and Crescent. Crescent started off the season obviously really well with those 2 home wins and then picking up 2 points at home to Greystones in that first block of 3. Cashel obviously had a really poor start to the season. Now all of a sudden they're coming good. And like you said, Crescent really struggling, and have been for, I know they won in Greystones last time out, but, they have been struggling, and they're going to need a serious uptick in form before the playoff starts.
Indeed, they will. So from the top, Arnold confirmed in Division 1B next season. What a season it's been for Sam Cawley, Adrian Flavin, Tom McKeown and Co. Shannon in the driving seat for that home semi-final against either Wanderers, Dungannon or Corinthians. Who knows, as those three teams fight it out for two places. Cashel, Ballymena and Greystones confirmed in Division 2A next season. Old Crescent will be in the playoff in 2 weeks' time, and Banbridge will play their rugby in Division 2B next season. The fixtures this weekend in Division 2A of the Energia All-Ireland League: Ballymena welcome Old Crescent to Eaton Park, Banbridge Corinthians in Rifle Park, Cashel Shannon in Spafield, Dungannon Greystones in Stevenson Park, and Barnhall Wanderers in Parsonstown. Moss, our race the clubs and game of the week, please.
We've gone with 4 games. We've gone with Cashel Shannon, Barnhall Wanderers, Banbridge Corinthians, and Dungannon Greystones.
Oh, it's, the first one was Banbridge Corinthians, was it? Excuse me.
No, Shannon Cashel. Cashel Shannon. Sorry, Cashel Shannon.
Yeah, I think Shannon need against want there. I think Cashel have done very well to get out of a very sticky rut, as you said, but I think Shannon there. I think Dungannon at home against Greystones will do the business. And I think Barnhall, you alluded to it, I don't think they're going to want to go 3 games on the trot when they're getting the trophy, excuse me. So I think Barnhall to beat Wanderers there. Who are you taking, Moss, in those games?
Yeah, I think I actually think Wanderers are going to miss out on the playoffs, believe it or not. I think Cashel are going to beat Shannon, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. I still think they'll finish second.
There's Shannon's team talk sorted.
I think Dungannon will win with a bonus point at home to Greystones. I think they will finish third on points difference, tied with Shannon, but on points difference. I think Shannon will play Dungannon. And I think Barnhall will beat Wanderers. Like you said, trophy at home. I think they'll beat them. And I think Corinthians will beat Banbridge with a bonus point and overtake Wanderers and finish 4th.
There you go, and that's why Morris Hartree is coming 92nd or 120th in Ace of Clubs.
Exactly.
So time will tell. Make sure to enter our Ace of Clubs before 2:25 on Saturday. All round 18 games will be kicking off at 2:25 at the weekend. That is a review and preview of Division 2A. Moving to Division 2B, and no shortage of drama last weekend in round 17. The results: Sligo had a 33 points to 26 win over Buccaneers in an enthralling game in Athlone and Dewberry Park, meaning that they are sitting in 4th. Clore Valley were beaten 24 points to 15 by Malone in Gibson Park. Huge win for Malone and keeps their top 4 alive, while Clore Valley seem to have slipped up for home semi-final advantage in Division 2B. Navan were 32 points to 29 winners over Enniscorthy and Balreese Gold. Whatever about the restructuring, 2 phenomenal games for teams supposedly with nothing to play for there. Navan in their centenary year showing everybody what they're made of in their last home game of the season. Rainey were beaten 40 points to 30 by the champions-elect Galwegians in Hattrick Park, meaning that they are still in with a mathematical chance, but unlikely that they will get into the top 4. And UL Bows had a big 31 points to 20 win over Skerries in Home Patrick, meaning that they currently sit in 2nd, 1 point ahead of Clore Valley, and as it stands would have a home semi-final against that opposition. Moss, we've known for a while Galwegians were going to be promoted here. Their win against Rainey seems to have knocked Rainey out of the playoff places at the top 4. UL Bows 31 points to 15 win against Skerries, as I said, gets them perceived home advantage to still have another game against Navan this weekend, which will be a tough one. Clore Valley beaten by Malone will take those 2 games. So UL Bows, after scoring 70 odd points against Buccaneers last week, would have been very disappointed to hear that Clore Valley nilled Galwegians, picked up 5 points on the road. But the difference a week makes in any walk of life. UL Bows now in the driving seat for a home semi-final. Clore Valley, their loss to Malone means that Malone now hot on the heels of Sligo, but plenty of drama. Yeah, you did.
I said that Bows were going to be in the driving seat because, in fairness to Clore Valley, they had a tough run in with Galwegians, Malone away, and then Rainey as well. It was a tough run in. It was a big win for Malone. Clore Valley obviously been really good this season, fighting for home advantage. Malone a bit up and down really, but their form since February has been pretty good. The only game they lost was actually at home to Galwegians, and I think that was a game that Galwegians confirmed the title. So you know, they've so they actually have been playing quite decent. Like you said, it had big ramifications at the top. It obviously keeps Malone's hot on Sligo's heels in terms of that fourth and fifth position, sneaking into that fourth position to go down to the last day. They've given themselves a lifeline. But that loss for Clore Valley, coupled with Bose's comfortable win, it was very comfortable at half-time. Skerry's made a bit of a comeback. I keep saying about home, Patrick, there can be massive wins up there. But a really good win to go to North Dublin for Bose, pick up 5 points. And now a 5-point win for them at home will ensure that they play Clore Valley at home as opposed to going up north, which we know is obviously, massive in terms of...
everything.
Everything. Yeah. Everything, really.
It is. Yeah. Evan Lacey with a brace for 9. Darrow Gorman, good to see him back. Captain on the wing. Greg Fitzgerald, Paul Clancy, the try scores. A lot of people in Division 2B not submitting their try scores on time. A few Buchel and Collini done at there. But UL Bose, as we said, sit in second, 63 points. Clore Valley, after their loss to Malone, sit in third on 62. Malone, as Moss said, hot on the heels of Sligo, who themselves, Moss, had a brilliant win over Buccaneers, 33 points to 26. Tom Cotton, Oisin Dolan, Sam Meacham, Niall Talon, the try scores for Bucks. Dylan Duffy with 3 conversions. Kuba Wojcic and Matthew Early both with a brace each, and Kieran Cassidy with the 5th try. Shane O'Hare, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but I think he was 100 caps at the weekend, so very well done to him, a great clubman.
Congrats,
Sligo, so very well done to him on that front. But what it means, Moss, for the table, no love lost in that Connacht derby between Sligo and Bucks, but 5 points for Sligo means that they're in the driving seat. They are seasoned campaigners in playoffs. They've suffered heartbreak. They've been to finals, semi-finals and whatnot. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but they will not fear, like you said with Gary Owen or Instonians, they will not fear anyone for the time being if they get in there. But their win coupled with Malone means that we will have a shootout with that final 4th place at the weekend.
Yeah. And look, like you said, the Connacht derby is never going to be easy going to Dewberry Park. No love lost, as you said, to pick up 5 points, maximum points. They'll move on. They'll say, job done. Thank you very much. So the win, the 5 points to 0 against Rainey last week, really, which gave them massive momentum going into this. They get the 5 points, move on, and like you said, they're going to be in a shootout this weekend against Malone. But ultimately, you're going to have to fancy Sligo. They know a win of any kind is going to do them. They play Navan at home, and that's no disrespect to Navan, who of course had a big win.
Sligo Skerries.
Or sorry, Skerries. You're right. Sorry, it's Bose Navan. My apologies. Yeah. But you'd have to fancy them to beat Skerries at home. Skerries bottom of the table, literally nothing to play for. Sligo, everything on the line. You'd have to fancy Sligo to seal the deal now. Malone obviously are going to be hot on their heels, but not even a bonus point win can help them. They go to Enniscorthy, who are in a similar boat to Skerries, in fairness. You'd fancy those two teams to play to both win, but Sligo look odds-on favourite now to sneak into that 4th spot.
Indeed, they do. Navan 32 and Enniscorthy 29. Marcone with 2 tries. Gary Faulkner and Jake Timmins. Tom Gavigan with 3 conversions, 2 penalties. Conal Kervick, Tony Ryan, Tomas Stamp, James Doyle, the try scores for Enniscorthy. They will both be part of Division 2B. One of them will be Division 2B South. One of them will be Division 2B North next year. I would imagine, apologies, we don't have that de facto, but given the current standing of relegation and promotion, etc. But an entertaining game in Balreese there on Saturday afternoon. Galwegians.
Yeah, Navan will be North, and Enniscorthy will be South, definitely.
Yeah. Just covering the tracks, Mass. Galwegians 40, Rainey 30. Jim McCartney, Killeen Thornton with a brace. Callum Smith, the try scores for Rainey. Oisin McKee with a brace. Rob Deasy with a brace. Keane Brady, Cody Farrell, the try scores for Wegians. They will get the trophy Trophy this Saturday against Bucks in Crowley Park. What a Saturday and Sunday that promises to be. They look to go out in a high there. Rainy, still mathematically possible, but looks for all intents and purposes like they will be part of Division 2B North next season. That is our review of Division 2B. The fixtures this weekend, round 18, the last of its kind for a lot of these teams. Clore Valley and Rainy in an Ulster derby there.
Enjoy the away trips is what I would say.
In Escorty, Malone, Weegens, Buccaneers at Crawley Park, Sligo, Skerries in Hamilton Park, and UL Bows, Navan on the UL4G. Massa Races, Clubs and Game of the Week, please.
Yeah, so we've picked 4. We've got Clore Valley Rainy, we've got Bows Navan, we've got Enniscorthy Malone, and we've got Sligo Skerries.
Sligo to beat Skerries, Bows to beat Navan, Clore Valley Rainy is going to be very difficult. I think Clore Valley, but Rainy will give absolutely everything there. And is Enniscorthy Malone or Galwegians Bucks part of that?
Enniscorthy Malone.
Yeah, I think high scoring Malone to snatch it and be very close. Be very close to fourth, but I think Sligo will pick up 5 points, so it won't make it possible for them. Who are you taking in the games, Mass?
Yeah, I actually agree with everything. I go Malone, Sligo, Bows, and Clore Valley. Yeah,
make sure to enter Ace Clubs by 2:25 this weekend. To clarify, we will be going until finals weekend.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
So the winner will not be announced this weekend, but there is plenty of rugby to be played. Moving to Division 2C.
Here we go. Whoa, it's madness down here.
Jesus Christ. Division 2C. Malahide had a Roy of the Rovers comeback to keep their survival hopes just about alive. 36 points to 22 winners over Belfast Harlequins in Darramore Park. Dolphin produced a stunning win in the Munster Derby on the road, winning 33 points to 21 against Clonmel, to very much likely have themselves against the same opposition at the same venue in 2 weeks' time if results go to plan this weekend. Clonmel still sitting top of the table with a round to go. Middleton, we speak of Roy the Rovers, why not use it again with a 34 points to 33 win over Bective Rangers in Towns Park, meaning that they have confirmed their senior status for next year after a rocky ride this season. Monkstown were 36 points to 24 winners over Bruff in Sydney Parade to keep their playoff hopes alive, just 2 points behind Dolphin after that bonus point win. And Thomond winning 17 points to 10 against Ballyclare in Liam Fitzgerald Park, getting back to winning ways for Thomond. As it stands, they will have an away semi-final against Bective, who they meet this weekend. Rumours of a certain Chuck and Morris Hartry on comms and co-coms in the leafy suburbs of Dublin 4. We will see. But Mass, from the top, we will not be counting on any of the games this weekend. Malahide mathematically still with a chance of survival, 5 points behind Belfast Harlequins after their win over the same opposition. Middleton securing their status on that front. You're happy enough for me to take that, just announce scorers and us to move to the top of the table?
No, I'll talk about it. Like it's I think we can talk about the games. Like it's we're not going to maybe predict the games this weekend. Like
James McKeown, Michael Tyrrell, Joey Boland, and a Dan Hayes brace means that Malahide got a bonus point win on the road. Ben Power, Joel Dundas, and Eddie Garrett, the 3 try scorers for Belfast Harlequins, meaning they didn't pick up anything. 17-0 at half time. Whatever the outcome, Moss, Malahides showed serious balls up north last weekend.
Well, it gets better for us because look, I've been talking about Malahide. I said, they played against Thomond 2 weeks ago down in Fitzgerald Park, and I commented on it afterwards. I said, whatever, they deserve to get, at least a point from the game. And they showed that they had a lot of heart that day. They were not giving up. They then played Clonmel and conceded very, very late last week against Clonmel, picked up 2 points. They go to Belfast Harlequins this weekend. They're 17-0 down for all at halftime. They have a man sent off early, so they're playing with 14 men.
Not early for people outside of Munster.
Yeah. So, like, we talk about showing heart and showing bollocks and doing all that. Whatever happens, that Malahide side over the last couple of weeks have shown unbelievable set of bollocks to come from 17-0 down when they have to 5-0 Belfast Harlequins to have any hope with a man down, and to come back and do exactly that 5-0 them is nothing short of sensational with your senior status on the line, and it is literally that simple. So fair play to everyone involved in Malahide. If you're Belfast Harlequins, you're obviously kicking yourself. It's a chance to not confirm their safety because they're obviously going to be in the playoffs, but to avoid relegation. I always say the bugbear of mine is losing and scoring 3 tries and not picking up anything, and
exactly
unfortunately
that.
that's exactly what they
Yeah.
did. In terms of the other game down the bottom end of the table, I was obviously at Ballyclare Thomond. We'll get to that in a minute. And it was everyone was on the phone down there, but Thomond won, final whistle blew. Everyone's onto any score to watch Bective Middleton, because we knew that if Middleton won the game that we'd have a chance of playing for a home semi-final next week away at Bective. So we switch it on. I was standing there at the side of the pitch watching it. Middleton are losing, what was it, 33-26 or something?
Around that, yeah.
I think it was something like that. And it was 82 minutes at the clock, and they're lined up for a kick at goal. And I was here, what the fuck are they doing? Or sorry, I was here, are they happy with a point to get out of there, 2 points? I was here, what the fuck is going on? Next thing, they kick it, Bective, I'm watching it, Bective drop the restart, penalty, and they go down and score literally last play of the game. And Seamus Lynn kicks a conversion from the fucking touchline to win it for Middleton, confirm their safety, 5 points. It was, honestly, it was incredible stuff. I was voice not new for all. It was mental stuff.
Madness. Alejandro Martinez Jimenez, a name worthy of winning any game, but Seamus Lynn kicking a conversion, also scoring a try along with Kyle Reid, Tom Coleman, and Killian Lynch. Lynn kicking 3 conversions and a penalty. Tiernan McCluskey, Ben Garrett, Tim Carroll, Bobby Holland, Tom McCarthy, the try scores for Bective. If that isn't an audition for Maurice Hartry's co-commentary with Chuck this weekend on Bective Rugby TV, I don't know what is. Whoever the sponsors are, just be known, there could be mentions of Ryder Cups and of anything. So sponsors can just pull out. Sponsors can pull out if they want to. But Middleton's win against Bective means, as Ma said, Thomond have an ability to get home semi-finals against Bective. So the winner of that will have a home semi-final against each other, most likely, unless Clonmel were to lose and Bective were to win, where it would change that. But time will tell on that front. Middleton confirming their senior status, as we said, after a difficult season. And no doubt there will be there was partying late into the night on Saturday for them, a great club down there. Monkstown winning 36-24 against Brough. Thomond 17-10 against Ballyclare, and Dolphins 33-21 win against Ardguia. Just give you the scores. Tom O'D with a brace, Davy Coyne with the third try for Pat O'Connor's men with Clonmel, Joey O'Connor with 3 conversions, Cameron O'Shaughnessy, Ryan Foley, Craig O'Connell, Owen Sheen and Richie Heaslip, the scores for Dolphin. Big win for Dolphin there. Monkstown's tries through Tom Griffin, Saul O'Carroll, Cian O'Donoghue with a brace, and Stephen McVeigh, Clem McAuliffe, John Bateman with a brace as well, and Mike Frawley, meaning that Brough didn't leave Dublin empty-handed. And Thomond back to winning ways, as we said, within touching distance at that home semi-final if they manage to win this weekend, with Evan Cusack and Jake Connolly. Matthew Coulter, the sole try scorer for Mike Orchin McKeever's men in Ballyclare. Reliably informed, Ballyclare had a very nice journey home up there after that, taking a losing bonus point on the road. A great crew led by Mike Orchin McKeever, who's a legend in his own right. But just on the top format, the restructuring has come in, and it's in, but the teams like 33-21, 36-24, 17-10, very competitive games, teams throwing the ball around, all for a tenner. And these semi-finals, coupled with Monkstown, 5 does not go into 4. Monkstown in the mix. It's going to be a very interesting weekend ahead.
Yeah, and look, I as you know, I'm not a proponent of the semi-finals and the way they were brought in. They probably contributed to some of the games this weekend in terms of, Dolphin having to win to keep their top 4. That's a hell of a performance from Dolphin to go to Clonmel and win. I'm just checking here. I think they're the first side all year to go to Ardguia and win. So, that's a hell of a statement from Dolphin, considering they might have to go to the semi, go there again in a couple of weeks' time. I think they've now beaten Clonmel. I could be wrong. 5 times in a row
Wow.
in Division 2. So there's a bit of a hoodoo there. And Dolphin, our side, I've said it probably since the start of the year. I saw them down Thomond. They like to throw the ball around. They're a good side. It's coming into that time of the year that will really suit Dolphin. And it was a very, very good win for them. Monkstown then keep on their heels. After losing 3 in a row, slipped out of the playoff spots. They obviously get 5 points at home to Brough and keep the pressure on Dolphin going into the last game of the season. A win will do for Dolphin at home to Belfast Harlequins, who are fighting for their lives. So anything could happen there. Monkstown away to Malahide. Interesting, the 2 teams for the top 4 go for the 2 teams trying to save relegation. So we'll say no more on that. I just do think in terms of like the top 4 did aid this weekend, but if you take a step back and look at probably this weekend, you've Clonmel top, you've Bective second, you've Thomond technically third. All would have had a chance to win the league last day of the season, regardless of top 4. It would have been a great ending anyway. But I do understand the drama for the top 4. In terms of Thomond, Froz, look, a big shout out to Mike Archer McKeever. I took a picture. He brought me down, in fairness to him, a goodie bag of treats. A nice bottle of wine was the main thing, a bottle of Magners. Just because it was Magners and not Bulmers. He brought me the Protestant potatoes, which they don't taste as nice. So a big shout out to Mike. Nice touch. A big shout out to Mike. There's absolutely no need for him to do that. And in fairness to Ballyclare as a club, they had a hell of a support down there. It contributed to a brilliant day down the club. They were coming down from the train from the north on the day. They were in the bar, steaming, singing. It was brilliant, and fair play to Ballyclare as a club. We had a fundraiser down the club for one of our injured players, a 12-hour cycle. Then we had our race night afterwards. So the club was absolutely buzzing. It was actually a great day down there, in fairness.
Sensational. We must post that link as well for the cycle for that donation as well. We saw that online. So give what you can to that as well for a very good cause. But Ballyclare will be the last trip to Thomond for quite some time.
It's a shame, but look,
going out on a high. The fixture this weekend, Saturday the 4th of April, Easter weekend. Is it Easter weekend? It is Easter weekend. Ballyclare Clonmel in the Clocken, Bective Rangers Thomond in Energia Park with Chuck and Morris Hartree on commentary. Forget the Heineken Cup, the Champions Cup. Bective Rangers Thomond, 2:30 p.m. Brough Middleton and Kilballyowen Park. Dolphin Belfast Harlequins in Virgin Media Park. And Malahide Monkstown in Estuary Road. Moss, or Ace of Clubs, and game of the week, please.
So 4 games, we're not going to call 2, right? So it's Dolphin, Belfast Harlequins, it's Malahide, Monkstown, so you can decide that yourselves.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 are Ballyclare, Clonmel, Bective, Thomond.
Oh, I think that Clonmel would lose home advantage if they didn't win and there was a win.
Well, they'd lose
top spot. Sorry,
if Bective won,
I think it'll be very close in Ballyclare.
I do as well. I think it's going to be very close.
I think it'll be very, very close. I wouldn't be surprised if Ballyclare managed to pull it out of the bag, but I think Clonmel slight favourites. Bective Thomond, depending on what way the weather is, I think it's to be Cat on Saturday.
Is it?
Well, if you believe any weather,
I'm the weatherman. Like,
you believe any weather apps, I think Bective will go ahead. One team will go ahead handsomely, and then the other team will come back and win. Which team that is?
That last year.
I will let you know at 2.
It's okay in Dublin.
2:25.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Who were you having in those games, Moss?
I think Ballyclare Clonmel is going to be very, very close. I think Clonmel just about win it. And look, I think ultimately, home advantage is going to tell for Bective. I think they're 2 very evenly matched sides. We saw it last year's final. We saw first game of the season. It was very close as well. I think it'll be close, but I think Thomond will have to go up to Bective 2 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah, it will be Mind Games already starting on Bective Rugby TV this weekend. Tune in, strap in. That is the review and preview of Division 2C of the Energia All-Ireland League and the Energia All-Ireland Provincial League Championship semi-finals. Boyne had a terrific 36 points to 28 win over Kilfeacle and District in Mullingar. Adam Brodigan, Jack Mitchell, Owen Duffy, the try scorers for Boyne. Rian Doody, Jacques Van Weingart with a brace, and Murray Lamb, the try scorers for Kilfeacle. Kilfeacle winning in Munster, still in the Munster Junior Cup, but Boyne will face Enniskillen in the promotion playoff final for senior rugby next year as they beat Craig's 33 points to 8 in Mullingar. At 3 p.m, Henry Keys, James Carlton, Dara Hill, James Ferguson and Eddie Keys, the try scorers. Keys tacking on 4 conversions. Jack Fleming, the sole try scorer for Craigs. Boyne and Enniskillen, one of those will play senior rugby in the Energia All-Ireland League next year.
Maybe both of them.
Maybe both of them, exactly. Yeah, at least one of them we should have said. The winner of that game will replace the team that's relegated in 10th place from Division 2C. The loser will play in a promotion final against the team in 9th place in Division 2C. Plenty of rugby to be played. That takes a break this weekend. We will be back to you next week with the winners of those games who will play obviously in the semi-finals a couple of weeks down the line. If you are at games this weekend, X and Instagram us photos, points after tries, result, bus journeys, and use the hashtag Energia AIL. Can't believe it, lads, ladies and gents. That is a wrap for season 8, episode 18. Many thanks to my co-host,
Nearly there.
to Quenton O'Neale, Jayden Beckett, and Callum Dowling of Old Belvedere, and of course to you, the listeners. I've been Dara Frawley. We've been the Club Scene Podcast, powered by Energia. There's a grand old stretch in the evenings.
It's in the air, I breathe, I feel it in my bones. It's everywhere I look at, hits me to my soul. So I ignore the signs and look the other way. And all that's left will be the lion's share.